There are now more than 500 million users on Facebook, half of whom log on every day. Social media has transformed how people stay in contact with friends, share their memories and plan their lives. But it's also created new challenges and special problems for schools. Teachers face the risk that their private lives might be exposed or that pupils might use the sites inappropriately. But some schools are already harnessing the power of Facebook and Twitter to excite students about education. So what are the upsides and downsides for teachers? And what about the pupils? After all, these sites are a natural habitat for them, both at home and on their mobile phones. Social media is now an aspect of young people's lives. Do you think it has a place in schools?
I do think it has a place in schools, yes, if it's well regulated and if schools are very clear what they're using social media for and how they're going to regulate it. It can be very, very good and it can really help children's learning, but if it goes wrong, it can really make teachers' lives a misery.
Given these potential risks, what are the policies that all schools should have in place?
I think the policy should consist of information for teachers about how they should use networking sites, information for pupils about what the consequences of misuse will be, and then clear policies which say if you do this, this is what's like to happen. Clear consequences for misuse.
So how do schools use social media?
So here at Rickmansworth School, we have a Twitter page and we use that to update parents and students about calendar items, so what's happening at the school over the course of the week. We also have important information like snow days, if school's cancelled, things like that.
Since I was stuck in America with the ash cloud for a while with 4 of my staff last Easter, and 2 of the staff were with us, were part of the English department, and they use Facebook a lot for directing information about their classes. They're really able to use it very effectively, far more than you would use an email.
But what about teachers using social media in their private lives? Past surveys by Teachers TV have suggested that half of teachers are frightened of what could happen to the information they put on social networking sites, but most are still using them. What would be your advice to teachers on using social networking sites in their private lives? Well,
first of all, why should teachers not have access to the amenities and the enjoyment that other people have from social networking? And it is a very, very good way of getting in touch with people, keeping in touch with people. So teachers should have access to that. But I would say that they should be cautious and careful, because nothing you put on a social networking site is entirely and completely safe.
If I'm using social media as a professional tool, I'll have a separate professional profile. So it will say Mr. Thompson, and it will be details about me being a teacher, and only students that I'm going to teach will have access to it, so that they can be part of the classroom, if you like, the online classroom. But I've also got personal accounts, which are completely separate, completely different function. No students have access to that, and that's just for me.
Many of our staff will have their own Facebook account or similar accounts, and they use those. They really enjoy that, and that's great. But we've had to make sure that they're very clear about how they use them and what they put on them, and to make sure that they don't have pupils as friends for any reason.
With the right policies in place, some schools are finding creative ways to harness the power of social media.
The fact that students use social media so much already, like every day in their lives, means that if we can engage in that process, if we can use social media to benefit their learning, then we've got to take that chance. You know, so it's well worth doing. Students will combine social media, which they love, with homework, which they might not necessarily love, and end up benefiting from it. They'll learn better, they'll engage more in it, and they'll be more motivated towards your subject.
So we know that our youngsters are engaged, motivated, and are participating in all sorts of different communications, and we need to harness that in order to raise their achievement, and that's what we're working on.
I use Twitter outside of school as a way of communicating with students after school hours, and it's a fantastic way of talking about homework if that's what they wanted to discuss. It's also a great way in terms of pastoral. You can provide loads of support that they won't be able to get until the next day. So if you have a chance to use it, then you can actually discuss things like university choices or course choices or things that they're worried about, and they can talk to you over it. It's a really good way of communicating.
But what are the risks that schools should be aware of?
When we talk about risks online, we talk about content-related risks, contact-related risks, and also conduct-related risks. And I think conduct-related risks are one of the key things, particularly thinking about social media and its popularity and prevalence. It's the type of things that children are posting about themselves and young people that could have unintended consequences, impacting on their safety. Could be them saying unkind things about other people, leading on to cyberbullying.
You know, as before, if somebody didn't like you, was going to call your name or get at you, they'd do it with a small number of people. The person mightn't even get to hear it. But of course, something happens and it's suddenly Bluetooth to everybody, or it's on Facebook, or it's on YouTube. You know, there's no hiding place. You can't take it back.
Is there any advice from Beat Bullying on what schools should do to clamp down on cyberbullying?
There is some specific guidance written around how to deal with incidents of cyberbullying, but it is really to be aware of it, to understand how pupils are using new technology to communicate with each other, and in some cases abusing that technology and cyberbullying each other, and to keep a real eye on it. There are things such as acceptable use policies in schools. All anti-bullying policies should include a section on cyberbullying and what to do should a pupil be being cyberbullied.
Our 5 top tips are the SMART rules. So stay safe on the internet, don't give out your personal information. Meeting up with people, it's wrong, don't do it. Accepting emails can be dangerous. So if you receive an email from someone you don't know with an attachment, don't open it. Reliability, not everyone on the internet is who they say they are, and not all the information that you read is reliable. And finally, tell someone. If someone or something you see online makes you feel uncomfortable, tell a trusted adult, whether it's a parent, a teacher or a carer.
I think it's important to realise that the online world is not that different from the offline world. And just like offline, you wouldn't let kids, do anything they want, explore anywhere without supervision. It's the same online. So you just need to sort of gradually let them learn the skills that they need to be able to use the internet safely themselves.
I know there are a lot of concerns from other teachers about using social media, but if students are taught how to use it appropriately and teachers use it professionally, then really the benefits completely outweigh any risks.
To quote the chief executive of Google, "The internet is the first thing that humanity has built that humanity does not fully understand. The largest exercise in anarchy we've ever had. Teachers and heads are having to deal with that, even if it means playing catch-up with their pupils." To sum up the guidance we've heard in this programme, in order to take advantage of the potential benefits of social media, schools should have clear social media policies with consequences for misuse, and educate both staff and students in its safe and responsible use.